Central Area Planning Committee meeting on Monday, Friday the 12th of June. My name is Councillor Mark Hurd and I'm chairman of this committee. This remote area planning meeting is held under new regulations which come into effect on the 4th of April in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. There are just a few housekeeping issues to run through in this meeting. Please ensure that your microphone remains muted and your video feed off when you're not addressing the committee, and this will reduce background noises and avoid any unintentional disturbances. This meeting will be hosted remotely via conferencing software, which allows members of the public to virtually attend the meeting whilst being able to protect themselves and others and observe the government's lockdown procedures. We may encounter some glitches this afternoon, so I hope that everyone will bear with us as we get used to this new way of working. We're streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. So, members and officers, during each item, please use the chat function of the meeting to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Members are reminded that apart from indicating you wish to speak or that you have to leave the meeting, the chat function should not be used for questions or any other purpose. Members, the process this afternoon will obviously be different, and for some items, I may invite each member to speak in turn. Therefore, I would encourage all members to keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible, please. When speaking and referring to the agenda papers, could you please ensure that you reference a page or a paragraph number? Could I also ensure that everyone is directly connected to a power supply so that nobody drops out due to short battery life? And lastly, if members need to leave the meeting at any point, please do make this known and use the chat function to signify that you need to leave the meeting. Now, may I ask officers taking part in this meeting to introduce themselves, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I am Matthew Lee, Lead Specialist for Place here at Malden District Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Michael Johnson, Lead Specialist Development Management.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson.
Hello, I'm Louise Staplehurst and I'm a specialist in development management.
Thank you, Mr. Staplehurst.
Good afternoon, Verna Casey, Committee Services Clerk to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other officers present? Thank you. Verna, could I now ask you to carry out a roll call of members to confirm who is in attendance, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I will call you now in alphabetical order. Councillor Miss Beale. Councillor Miss Beale. Councillor Edwards.
Present, Chairman.
Councillor Harker. Councillor Harker. Okay. Councillor Hurd.
Present.
Councillor Lagan. Councillor Lagan. Councillor Mays. Councillor Mays.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Morris.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Nunn.
Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you. Councillor Nunn.
Yes, here, Berner.
Thank you. Councillor Shaughnessy. Councillor Shaughnessy. Okay. Councillor Stilts.
Yes, Bernard, present.
Thank you. Councillor Swain?
Yes, present.
Thank you. So we have 7 members present. Councillor
7 members present. Thank you. Could I just ask, are there any other members? Could you please identify yourselves, please?
Thompson, present, but probably not for long. Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other members?
Yeah, Councillor Stamp's listening in, but busy doing normal work, but I will be listening.
Thank you, Councillor Stamp. Okay, so we have to note then that there have been no apologies, but we do have those absences. Okay, agenda item number 3 are minutes of the meeting of the 19th of February, and it's recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on this date are found on pages 7 to 12 are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. If you wish to second that motion, please turn on your video, unmute your microphone and state your name now, please.
Yes, Councillor Nunn, I'll second those minutes, Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Percy Morris, agreed.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. If any member wishes to raise any matter of accuracy, please use the chat function to indicate, and I will invite you to speak. Okay, Bernard, please can you advise if any other member has indicated a wish to speak?
No, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we'll do is we'll take the vote that these are an accurate record. Could you now please take the vote, Bernard, taking each member in alphabetical order? Please state for, against, or abstain. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Edwards.
For.
Councillor Hurd.
For.
Councillor Mays. Councillor Mays. She is still with us. Councillor Mays. We'll come back. Councillor Morris.
For.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Morris, for.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. Councillor Nunn.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Stilts.
For.
Thank you. And Councillor Swain.
Abstain. I think I was absent from that.
Thank you.
And I see we've got Councillor Mays back now.
Councillor Mays. For, against, or abstain from the minutes, please.
For.
Thank you, Councillor Mays. So that is a 6 for, none against, 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, members. Agenda item number 4 is declarations of interest, and this is to disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests relating to items of business on the agenda having regard to paragraphs 6 to 8 inclusive of the Code of Conduct for members. And members are reminded that they are also required to disclose any such interest as soon as they become aware, should the need arise, throughout the meeting. If any member has an interest to declare, and I see that some of you have already used the chat function, please indicate now and I will invite you to speak.
Yes, Chairman.
Ben, can you advise if any member has indicated a wish to speak, please?
Yes, Councillor Nunn and then Councillor Stilts, Chairman.
Councillor Nunn first.
Thank you very much, Chairman. 56 Viking Road. I'm acquainted with the applicant, non-pecuniary, and Deed House. I'm acquainted with some of the trustees and indeed have previously been invited to be a trustee, although I am not one. non-pecuniary.
Thank you. Just before we go on any further, Mr. Lee, can we confirm that Deed House is still on the agenda, or has it been withdrawn?
Thank you, Chairman. As the members' update informs members, that item has been withdrawn by the applicant, so there is no longer an application to determine. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Stilts.
Thank you, Chairman. The Viking Road, I am acquainted with the applicant, so non-pecuniary interest.
Thank you very much. Councillor Edwards.
Yes, Chairman, not an interest as such. I'm not sure where to say this, but to note that I can't vote on item 5 as I didn't visit the site. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I will also add my declaration of interest that I do know the applicant. It is a non-pecuniary interest, but only because I know him through his business contacts, but I have no financial interest at all in that. Any other member wish to speak? Right, okay. Thank you very much. In that case, I will move to agenda item number 5. This is planning application 19/01242/house, 56 Viking Road, Malden. This is found on pages 13 to 24. And in a moment, I will call on the officer to present this item. Members are reminded that if you wish to speak on this, please make this known by using the chat function within the meeting. And I will then come to you in turn. And please, I'd be obliged if you could make your points clear and succinct. Ms. Staplehurst, could you please present the report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. This application relates to a first floor side extension and external alterations to the materials. This is a resubmission of a previous application which was refused due to the large size and design of the extension and also the harmful impact on the neighbour, number 54 Viking Road. No amendments have been made under this application. It's the same as the previously refused scheme. It's noted that this was deferred from the January committee for a site visit, which was undertaken on the 18th of February. It has then been held in abeyance since March due to the current situation. Here is the location plan and the block plan showing the first floor extension here in relation to the neighbour of number 54. Here are the existing floor plans and the proposed floor plans. Please note there's no change at ground floor level, so this is the extension shown at first floor level. These are the existing and proposed front and rear elevations. So here you can see the extension with the contrived roof line to the front and the rear of the extension. And here are the existing and proposed side elevations. This is the elevation that would be abutting number 54 Viking Road. Here are some photographs of the front of the house and the rear of the house. Some photos of the rear of the house from within the garden and the neighbouring properties. And this would be the neighbour that there are concerns about. The extension would be here at first floor level along this boundary. And here are some photos of houses in the surrounding area. Some do have two-storey side extensions, but they are of a much different design than that proposed. Whilst the alterations to the porch and materials are acceptable, no amendments have been made since the previous application, and therefore the proposal would still harm the character of the area and the amenity of the neighbour, and is therefore recommended for refusal. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Staplehurst. Now, under the Council's public participation scheme, we've received 2 submissions, one from a supporter and another from the applicant. In line with the public participation scheme, I should read these out, allocating 2 minutes, but I don't seem to have those attachments, Berna.
Apologies, Chair. We've now just got one submission from 3 objectors, just the small submission below on your script. Apologies for that slight
Oh, I see. Yes.
Error there. Yes, we've just got the one. The others were received too late to actually include, and I forgot to update the script. Apologies for that, Chairman.
Okay.
It is just that one statement. This is a statement on behalf of. That's all we have.
Okay, I've got that. Thank you very much. I do. I've noted your request to speak, Councillor Morris. I'll just go through this very short statement and then I'll bring you in. Okay. The submission from objectors. This is a statement on behalf of Sue Seabrook, John Watson, and Gillian Smith. Our opinion on the overbearing extension has not changed, and we still object to the planning application. May I remind members that all in attendance can express their views on the application, but only those that attended the site visit on the 18th of February 2020 can vote on this item, namely Councillor Mays, Nunn, Shaughnessy, Stilts, and myself, Councillor Hurd. Councillor Morris, you indicated you wish to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to say that non-pecuniary interest, I know the applicant, but I, due to personal problems, I was unable to make the site visit, so I won't be voting anyway. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much for that. Okay, so the Councillor Mays, you've requested to speak.
Yes, I propose that we accept the officer's recommendations.
Oh, right. You're just going slightly ahead of me. Just bear with me a second. The recommendation is set out.
Beg your pardon.
That's all right. The recommendation is set out with the report as follows, and the planning application 19-01242, House 56 Viking Road, Malden, 901183 FUL be refused for the reasons as detailed in section 8 of the report and at appendix 1. If any member wishes to second that motion, although we can still speak about it, of course, could you please turn on your video, unmute the microphone and state your name now. Councillor Swain.
Yes, I would second that. I suppose I'm allowed to second it, am I?
I'll seek advice on that. Could we, I think somebody can second that, Berna, can they?
Yeah, yes, Chairman, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Swain. I will now invite members to make any comment on the report. Berna, has anybody indicated that they wish to speak?
Well, not at the moment, Chairman. Councillor Mays was the last person to indicate she wished to speak.
Okay, thank you. I will ask members one more time. Anybody wish to speak further on this application before we go to the vote? Okay, none. Yes, Councillor Swain.
I thought you were going to go round to ask each person to speak on it. If not, I would just make a brief comment.
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Now is the time.
My comment would be that I do agree with the officer's points about the impact on the neighbouring property and also the roof lines and difficulty with accommodating additional vehicles. That would be my main concern.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Any other member wish to speak? In that case, Berna, could I please ask you now to take the vote? Members, just to remind you that this is the officer's recommendation is for refusal. If you could please respond with for, against or abstain. Thank you, Berna.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Edwards.
Chairman, I can't vote, or would that be an abstain?
Oh, apologies. Yes, of course. Let me just be very clear who I'm calling here. Sorry. Councillor Hurd.
Yes, go ahead. I am for the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Mays.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Stilts. Councillor Stilts.
Yeah, hang on, I'm having a technical problem. Against.
Councillor Swain.
Councillor Swain wasn't at the meeting, I don't think, Berna. Wasn't at the...
That's right, sorry, at the site visit, of course. There
That's
we go.
okay.
Okay, apologies for that. So that's 2 for the recommendation, 1 against, no abstentions.
Chairman.
Councillor Nunn.
Sorry,
Okay.
3.
Councillor
3.
Sorry, I was at the site visit.
Can we start that again? Apologies, Chairman. Councillor Hurd.
For.
Councillor Mays.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Nunn.
For.
Councillor Stilts.
Against.
Thank you very much. Okay. So that's 3 for the officer's recommendation to refuse, 1 against, no abstentions.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you to other members as well for their comments. That then is that's agreed that is refused. Thank you very much. I'm now going to move on to any other items of business that the chairman decides are urgent. I have just one thing, and at our meeting back in February, this committee did speak about enforcement, and I know that we were seeking to look at any enforcements which need to be reviewed, and we may do that not today but at a further meeting. Mr. Lee, do you have anything to add on that, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, at the moment, Council is looking at doing all our meetings remotely. The only thing I would want to add is that if members do wish to look at this matter, it may be beneficial to actually not do it as a committee, it would just be to do it as a meeting, because I'm just conscious of the level of background resource that is needed to run a committee meeting.
Yes.
And as members don't actually have any delegate or any authority for determination of enforcement, it could just be done as an informal meeting. I think that would be a more effective way of hopefully getting a better outcome through officers and members discussion, but also just the background resources that we need at the moment to run a committee like this. But that's it, Chairman.
Yeah, okay. I certainly want to involve all the members on that. Are members happy that should be? We'll have a further meeting which is inclusive to all, where we can review those enforcement issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yes. Agreed.
Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. Well, members, I do thank you for your...
Chairman, can I just say one thing? If members have got anything in particular they would be likely to, any cases that they're quite aware of or quite, want a better word, passionate about, if they could maybe let us know before, or any questions they're likely to raise on specific cases before the meeting, that would obviously be helpful, because we can obviously make sure then we've got the information and the answers available to the members, rather than just to get all best value out of the meeting.
Yeah, I think that we would be particularly interested in all those which were prior to the 1st of January this year, unless members have any specific ones that they want to bring up for this year, and I'd be happy to include those.
Trying to get hold of anyone at planning can sometimes be an arduous task, and you've got more chance of getting a chat with a Scarlet Pimpernel sometimes. No disrespect, Matt.
Just as a question, should we, thank you for that, Councillor Morris, should we direct those questions to yourself, Mr. Lee?
If members want to direct them to myself, so I can obviously make sure that it trickles down and cascades down to the appropriate person and make sure we've got the information, but I'm happy to either myself or Michael Johnson, if you can let either of us. Probably easiest just to make sure, actually, if you email both of us, just to make sure it is picked up. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay, so Matt Lee or Michael Johnson, any of those issues. Okay, so members, thank you for your contributions this afternoon. I will now draw this meeting to a close at 1:25 p.m. As the meeting is now closed, members are advised not to enter into any further discussion on this forum, and please leave the meeting promptly. Thank you very much.